Kristen Stewart is one of the most elusive, enigmatic younger actors working today. In an industry about facade, she isn't afraid to be exactly who she is each time the camera is on her. But how could we break down the je ne sais quoi of such an alluring, interesting personality? Find out on this episode of Classic Charm. As I say that charm is always about balance, Kristen Stewart has got to be the most obvious example of this. In fact, it's hard to pin her down, and I think that's what makes a charming person so alluring. Are you pensive and withdrawn, or engaged and in the moment? Are you weird and individualistic, or poised and well-spoken? From the way she expresses herself, to the roles she chooses, to even the way she dresses, Kristen is always balancing two sides of herself. First, I want to go over Kristen's I don't give a fuck demeanor. She shows almost every time the camera is on her, while she's plainly communicating to the camera that she'd much rather be somewhere else than being interviewed. You could tell she's still engaged and interested in answering the questions given to her. And this is where we start to see why she's so alluring. Comparing this demeanor to Joaquin Phoenix, who looks physically in pain during interviews with the media, it's obvious Kristen enjoys expressing her perspective on the characters she plays in movies. And it's just so fun watching this sometimes seemingly reclusive woman expound on why she chose to play a character the way she did.
The ones that are really exciting are ones that perplex me. And I'm like, oh man, I'm terrified of this. I don't even know why I'm drawn to it. This movie is weird. It's a movie that totally questions it just calls into question how much like personal perception just defines reality. It doesn't exist. We're not here. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, so that in itself, I spent the whole movie going back and forth between like being so firmly aware of what the movie was about and then thinking that it was about absolutely nothing at all, and I was just walking around rooms. And then at the end, it was like, well, that's what it's about, KS.
And this brings me to the next part of what makes Kristen so charming. When she's actually in the mood, the way she expresses herself is straight from the source. There's no facade about it, because she's doing what she loves in life. Kristen gives us an opportunity to watch her go into herself before answering questions, exploring her personal perspective, all the while hardly ever speaking in a way that is for the camera, or even for fans. And it's like art, watching her express herself in the moment while she's reliving an emotion in her mind. Watch this interview where, when she's asked about remembering lines, she's searching for that feeling she has so she could know how to properly express herself. And because she's reliving an emotion, you could see how her passion is demonstrated through erratic hand and head gestures while her eyes are moving 100 miles an hour.
I'm addicted to the first time. I'm addicted to that feeling that you've not constructed something, but that you're really, truly discovering something. And, you know, it's like something happens for me once and then everything after feels like a false imitation. So I don't like to read stuff too much beforehand, because I want to barely know the words, so I'm like searching for them.
This is the beauty of vulnerable self-expression. Each movement is like a live painting she's giving us to watch unfold. This interview actually takes me to the next important thing I want to talk about with Kristen. Here with Juliette Binoche and an interviewer who wasn't asking superficial questions, Kristen's energy and mood were high. But throughout the years, I've never seen anyone's vibe vary so often during interviews. Sometimes she's energetic and very engaged. On the other side of the spectrum, she could seem like the most reserved, antisocial person on the planet. It's what she's feeling at the time. You never know which side of Kristen you're gonna get that day, but the thing I notice about her is that no matter what, and if you could learn anything from her, it's that Kristen absolutely always trusts her vibe. She owns her mood. If she's feeling highly introverted, she'll go and be completely introverted for the interviewer. If she's feeling childish and playful, she'll let that side go wild. This is healthier than forcing your mood. To all the introverts out there, I've found that the more you force the times where you're feeling antisocial, the more you'll feel anxious in general. But when you tell yourself, I'm feeling antisocial and in my head, and I'm just going to fully interact with this person like this. I'm going to own it, despite people thinking I'm angry, I'm in a bad mood, tired, or just strange. I don't know where it came from for Kristen to be so in accordance with who she is. Even from a young age, Kristen has been the same person throughout.
I've heard stories of kids who come to set and they're they don't know their lines and, they're kind of a problem, but I'm not like that. I think if you want to get to the ultimate point of being the best that you can be, you have to be serious about what you do.
You could see how it's as if she already knew herself at that age. But I want to get back to the way Kristen expresses herself. Here's more of that contradictory balancing act she's always doing. Have you ever seen someone who looks a bit anxious but at the same time confident as she does? She's the type of confident where you really wouldn't call it confident. She's not outwardly confident. Confidence and bravado are not mutually exclusive. In fact, bravado might be more akin to insecurity. Conversely, Kristen has this way of being so uniquely expressive without coming off charismatic. To me, it's inspiring to see an unabashed introvert in this way. But this is because Kristen not only owns whatever vibe she's feeling in the moment, but she also doesn't pay much attention to it either. And this is another lesson you could learn from Kristen Stewart. She's purposeful. Purpose is the type of headspace where you don't negotiate with emotions about something you want to do. And you could even see it back when she was young. She knew what she wanted and she wasn't going to let anything stop her, even when anxiety and strong introversion hits. Most people deal with anxiety and insecurity in two ways. First is the most popular way, just falling into the anxiety and let it convince you to not do anything. The other way is to fight the anxiety as a way to hopefully feel 100% with your task. These are both wrong. When you fight the anxiety, you just make it stronger. It's like throwing a ball against a wall. It's just gonna bounce back at you as hard as you threw it. Instead, Kristen just takes the anxiety with her and continues with her purpose, still being vulnerable and engaged with whoever she's talking to. And her contradictory personality continues in her personal expression. I love how thoughtful and introspective she is while throwing in F-bombs throughout. It's the balance of earnestness and deviance that fills her with color, weird and graceful. It's like if you put a trained dancer and a punk into the same person, you get Kristen. It even bleeds into the clothes she wears. Notice how she deftly balances traditional fashion with something randomly fucked up. She'll wear a dress and heels with a chain link necklace, overly dark mascara, and gelled up unkempt bleach blonde hair. This is what you only see with charming people. Most people are dressed down or dressed up, but you never see anyone doing both. So let's talk about her SNL monologue. Right at the end, she dropped an F-bomb on live television, a big no-no for Saturday Night Live.
Okay, so we've got a great show, and I totally care that I'm here because it's the coolest thing ever. Oh. Oh my God, and I'm sorry.
Why did I pick out this moment? It shows that Kristen expresses herself first and fixes later. So when you're interacting with someone, you should definitely be thinking about the context of your environment and who you're speaking with. They need to feel loved and acknowledged, but just as much, you should be freely expressing yourself to the point of irreverence, and that should never be compromised. Trust that as long as you have good intentions, as Kristen usually does, her presence and her purpose takes precedence. I want to wind down this analysis with a headspace that I believe drives Kristen's bashfully, unabashed, ambitious as hell personality. Kristen is always looking to go towards what she actually likes doing and how she wants to live. This may sound obvious, but most people are doing what others want them to do, or what they think the world expects of them, or most likely, doing what they think will make them cool or popular.
It's just so obvious when people want to be rich and famous and win the popularity contest, and they also have fun acting too, but it's not the same thing. It's just not, that's not why I do stuff.
Kristen is always mentioning how she's looking for what's compulsive for her. She's so in tune with what feels right. We've seen that from the start of her career. Charming people go where they feel at home. When you're constantly going against the grain of your purpose, I believe you lose your opportunity to show your real charm. I'd like to end this with some clips that I believe perfectly sum up this compulsivity in Kristen that keeps finding her closer and closer to who she actually is.
The best experiences I've had on any project of any kind has been when you are naturally and instinctively drawn to a person, and there's something that you're both thinking about or meditating on that becomes obsessive and compulsive. You make a movie, because that's all I know. And so I was at that point like allowed to pick weird things that nobody believed in because I made a big movie once.
I'm very instinctual, and I haven't done an overtly commercial movie in a while. I haven't done a big movie in a while. I've made like 7 movies in the last 2 years that are all, you know, fairly small. The good roles stick out just so jarringly that it's never hard for me to make a decision. The movie that I should be doing is always so clear to me. The ones that are not categorically like what you see constantly stick out so clearly that that's what I do.
Do you consider yourself like one of the talented?
I consider myself extremely impulsive and compulsive. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And also just attracted. I think it's a miracle when something great happens. And I'm always like, whoa, so lucky. I don't know how something just occurred that was worth capturing in a way that is profoundly making me feel sure of something, which is a feeling in life that's so rare, to feel absolutely positively sure that that was like worth it. That is a miracle, and whenever it happens, I honestly feel like creepy, spooky thankful. And then like you look around at everyone and go like, can you believe that we got so lucky that this happened?
So Classic Charm is back and it's here to stay. Just like Kristen, I realized I need to be doing what serves who I am, and this is the work that accomplishes just that. As always, I have a free class on bringing the right people into your life using online dating. You could watch that now with the link in the description. I have a new podcast, Betas, that live streams every week. You could hang with me over there for deeper analysis of relationships, social skills, charm, and self-actualization. Tell me in the comments how something you learned from Kristen today inspired you to be more yourself with people. I'll be looking and responding to my favorites, and I'll see you in the next video.